October 30th, 1975, 1:15 in the morning. Chapeltown, Leeds, West Yorkshire. The streets are empty. The cold northern air cuts through the darkness like a blade. Orange street lamps bleed weak light onto wet cobblestones, and somewhere in the distance, the sound of a late-night bus fades into silence. This is Leeds at its most vulnerable, quiet, unsuspecting, and completely unaware that something monstrous has just stepped out of the shadows. A woman named Wilma McCann is walking home alone. She is 28 years old, a mother of 4 children. She had been out for the evening, dressed in her white coat, trying to find some small escape from the grinding weight of her daily life in the Scott Hall Avenue area of Leeds. She never made it home. Her body was discovered the following morning, lying on a recreation ground just 100 yards from her own front door. She had been attacked with a hammer and stabbed multiple times. The police were called. Photographs were taken. A file was opened. And somewhere across the city, a man with dark curly hair and a thick black beard climbed back into his lorry and drove away into the night as if nothing had happened at all.
His name was Peter William Sutcliffe. He was 29 years old. He worked as a long-distance lorry driver from Bradford. To his neighbours, to his colleagues, to almost everyone who knew him, he was quiet, polite, and completely ordinary. His wife, Sonia, believed she had married a gentle and devoted man. Nobody saw what was buried underneath. Nobody saw the darkness that Peter Sutcliffe carried with him every single day, a darkness that had been building quietly for years and had now, for the very first time, been fully unleashed onto the streets of northern England. But Wilma McCann was only the beginning. Over the next 5 years, Peter Sutcliffe would go on to attack 13 women and murder them across West Yorkshire and Greater Manchester. His victims included Emily Jackson, Irene Richardson, Patricia Atkinson, Jane MacDonald, a 16-year-old girl who had simply been walking home from a night out with friends, Jean Jordan, Yvonne Pearson, Helen Ritker, Vera Millwood, Josephine Whitaker, Barbara Leach, Marguerite Walls, and Jacqueline Hill. Each attack followed a similar brutal pattern. Each victim was struck from behind with a hammer, then stabbed repeatedly. Each crime scene told the same story of sudden, savage, and merciless violence. And each time, Sutcliffe disappeared back into the ordinary rhythm of his life. Back to Bradford, back to his wife, back to his job, leaving behind nothing but devastation, grief, and a city paralysed by fear.
The investigation that followed became one of the most expensive, exhaustive, and ultimately humiliating failures in British police history. Detective Chief Superintendent George Oldfield of West Yorkshire Police led the hunt. He was a hardened, experienced officer, the kind of man who had spent decades staring at the worst that human beings could do to one another. But this case was different. This case was breaking him. The leads were endless. The pressure from the public and the press was suffocating. And then, in 1978, something arrived that would send the entire investigation spiraling in the wrong direction entirely. A cassette tape and a series of letters, allegedly from the Ripper himself, taunting the police in a distinctive Wearside accent. Oldfield became convinced the voice on the tape was genuine. Resources were redirected. The focus shifted to the northeast of England. And Peter Sutcliffe, a Bradford man who spoke with a Yorkshire accent, continued to kill, completely undisturbed, while the police chased a ghost. It was not brilliant detective work that finally stopped him. It was chance. January the 2nd, 1981, Sheffield. A routine police patrol stopped a man sitting in a parked car with a woman in the Broomhill area of the city. The officer checked the vehicle's number plates and discovered they were false. The man was taken in for questioning. He gave his name, Peter Sutcliffe. Within 24 hours, detectives had connected him to the Whipper murders. When they returned to the scene where he had been arrested, they recovered a hammer and a knife he had hidden nearby the moment he realized he was caught. Peter William Sutcliffe was charged with 13 counts of murder and 7 counts of attempted murder. On the 22nd of May 1981, he was convicted on all counts and sentenced to 20 concurrent life sentences. The judge recommended he never be released. The Yorkshire Ripper was finally off the streets. But for the families of 13 women, 13 daughters, mothers, sisters and friends, no courtroom verdict, no prison sentence, and no amount of time would ever be enough to fill the silence he had left behind.